Hello all, Greg the Grilling Guy here, and today we're talking turkey. It is that time of the year. Thanksgiving, Christmas, all the big turkey holidays. I'm from Canada originally, so we always had turkey with Christmas, but now I live in the US. We have it at Thanksgiving and usually Christmas, but you can have turkey any time of the year. It's a great piece of protein. I absolutely love turkey. Smoking it, deep frying it, and that's what we're talking about today. We're going to deep fry this turkey. So a couple things. When you're going to deep fry turkey, you want to make sure that the exterior is as dry as possible. So when you get a turkey breast, I did brine this thing. I will put a link in this video to the brining process, so you can learn how to wet brine a turkey. You could also dry brine it. I usually wet brine a turkey. I think that you get a bit more of the aromatics infused in there, adds a bit of flavor to it. So I did wet brine this thing. But I took it out of the wet brine probably a day ahead of time, so 2 days ahead of time ultimately, and put it in the fridge on this rack here, and basically let the air in the fridge circulate around it and dry it out, because you want to make sure that the skin gets a little bit dry so that when you put it in the deep fryer, it'll crisp up. You also don't want a lot of excessive moisture on the outside because that ends badly. We're going to now inject this. This thing has been brined, it's sat in the fridge for a couple days. Now we're going to actually go through injecting it. For me, I'm putting a butter Creole injection into this. That's one of my favorites. This one is from Cabela's. It's got a slightly more subdued flavor. Typically, we'll use the Zatarain's is kind of the one that my family likes. It's got a real punch to it. But what I don't eat off the turkey breast, I'm going to put into a fettuccine tomorrow. So I want to make sure I've got a slightly more subdued flavor on this. When it comes to injecting the turkey, you can see I'm doing this outside. It gets messy, I'll be honest with you. So if you're doing it inside, make sure you've got a tub or a basin that you're doing this in, because the injection tends to fly everywhere and make a real mess. So you're gonna need a syringe. I have this metallic one that I actually purchased specifically for injecting various proteins. A lot of times the brines themselves, or the injectables, will come with a plastic disposable injector. I use that a lot of times because you're going to throw it away. You don't need to worry about cleaning it. But in this case, because it didn't come with an injector, I'm just going to use my home injection. So when you're injecting the turkeys, you can't take the needle out of the turkey and put it back into the injection unless, once you do that, injection is either going into that turkey or it's going out, because it's now been cross-contaminated. For this turkey breast, it's just a half breast, but I'm going to use most of this injection. So otherwise, I would put it into a cup or a container and then draw out of there, because, as I say, you can't go back and forth with this. So we're going to take the injection. I'm going to pop the side of this up just one notch, so it will cut down on the viewing a little bit, but you'll be able to catch the gist of what's going on, because this will end up running everywhere. All right, fill this all full of marinade, and then just start poking into the center as much as you can, because you want to get this in, and you can see it actually starts to run out as soon as you get a little bit in there. So you're not going to be able to probably do a full swipe every time, and again, you can see that it becomes a bit of a mess. Once this thing gets full of injection, it will actually start to shoot out the various holes that you've poked in there. You don't want to poke a whole lot, but when those fly out, it will make a mess of the kitchen. So as I say, just be very, very careful when you're doing this. If you're fortunate enough to live in a climate where you can do it outside, as I do, that's what I would recommend. So now that's all injected, I've dropped the tin down. You can see where the marinade is actually running out of bed. It's running down into the bin. I'm actually going to take this bird and I'm going to stick it back in the fridge. Now, the question of how soon or how far before you actually do the deep fry do you put the injection in? I've read things say 12 to 24 hours. I've done it as little as 30 minutes ahead of time. The more time you have, there's two things that you're going to benefit from. It's going to more infuse into the meat and kind of disperse all throughout, so you get a more even cook versus just like the little pockets of marinade. The other thing is, as you can see, I've now made a mess of this turkey breast that I dried out. So I'm going to put this back into the fridge for probably 8 to 9 hours, and the marinade will start to run out. It'll run down into the tray, and but it'll start to dry itself out as well, because you don't want to put a piece of meat directly into hot oil or bacon grease while there's still a lot of moisture on there, because it's going to pop and it's going to get ugly. So this is going to go back into the fridge. We'll pick it up when I start getting all the equipment set up, and we will go through how to deep fry yourself the perfect turkey. If you've been watching my channel, you can't possibly be shocked to know that I'm going to cook this turkey in bacon grease. Now, to be honest, you can use just a regular frying oil, a peanut oil, which is typically what I've done in the past. I simply bought a bunch of bacon, so I'm going to use that. I find it gives it a kind of a richer flavor. I really do enjoy it. Cleanup's not quite as easy, so don't know that I would recommend using it to everyone. But if you love bacon, this is your product. So what I have here is a vessel that's going to go on that's the deep frying vessel. It says specifically on here, not for frying turkeys, but they don't mean the grilling guy, do they? Come on. So I'm going to give this a go. To be honest with you, I've done this before in this vessel. Because it's just a breast, or a half breast really, and not a full turkey, it's fine. If I was going to do a full turkey, I would use the proper tall vessel. That thing simply takes longer to heat up, and it takes longer to drain the oil out of it and run it through a filter the next day to make sure your oil stays clean. You always make sure you're doing that. So I'm going to make a point of just using this smaller one. So I'm going to dump the grease down into here. It's just warm enough that it's slightly liquefied, so I can't scoop it out, and I'm probably going to make a mess, so I'm not going to have that on video, but I am going to put it in there, and I'm going to get the turkey breast. I'll get everything going, so we'll move over to the cook area for the rest of the shoot. I will show you the turkey breast just before I put it in, and then we're frying it. I'm going to fry it to about 145, 148 degrees. Typically, they say 165. I find at 165, if you're doing it with a turkey breast, if you're deep frying it, it dries out fairly quickly around there, so you want to get it out before then. So I'm probably going to cook it to about 148 and then take it out, let the carryover cook go from there. So let's get this stuff loaded up and get the cook going. The turkey's about ready to go. I'm going to leave it out for 30 minutes just to kind of warm it up a bit, bring it up to kind of room temperature, if you will, just so that the core isn't cold and it doesn't overcook on the outside, just like a normal piece of meat. Now you can see that there is still some fluid on there from the injection sites. It's dried out for the most part, but there's still some. So I'm just gonna take a regular paper towel and just kind of blot that off. Again, if you don't do it, this stuff's pretty thick. It won't go up that much in the deep fryer, but I just like to make sure that the exterior is as dry as possible. Once I've got that blotted off, I'm actually going to put just a little bit of a rub on there. It's a poultry butter rub. I really like the flavor of that. I'm going to shake a little bit on because a lot of it's going to, you don't want anything with any type of sugar in it because that will burn when it hits the hot oil. This gives it a nice flavor on the skin if you like skin, but if you didn't, look, I'm cooking it in bacon fat. Obviously, I'm okay with the skin. So now that's done, I'm going to pop the sides up on this tray and then cover it up because, well, it's sitting outside and who knows what's going to get into it. All right, put the lid on that. I'm going to get the grease fired up and we'll get this thing in and get it cooking. Now the bacon grease I have set up on the tripod here to cook. I'm going to light this thing and get it going. I want to heat the grease up to about 350 degrees, and that's really where I want to maintain it. But I'm going to let it slowly come up to temperature while I get a couple other things done. So we're going to get this lit. Always make sure this is on a stable piece of ground because it's going to end poorly if it's not. With the meter probe in place and the temperature approaching 350 degrees, it's time to do this. Let's see how we make out. With 12 minutes in and 5 minutes to go, it's probably more realistically 7 minutes. Let's see how the skin looks. All right, starting to look a bit better. You can see the darker spots where that rub sat, but we're gonna give this thing 5 more minutes and pop it out and take it from there. The meter tells me it's time to remove it from the heat, so I'm gonna turn the gas off and lift this thing up. We're gonna let that rest there for a couple minutes, and I'm gonna put on the plate and I'll see you inside for the cut. Dirk is inside. Let's cut this thing and see how it turned out. That is good. That is tender and juicy. That 148 is exactly where I wanted it to be. So this was great. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I will put a link in the description below to all the tools that I use, as well as a timeline, anything you'd like to order. Please think about hitting like and subscribe if you like this channel. Until next time, I'm Greg the Grilling Guy telling you, grill it real good.